So you guys are, what do we got callers? What do you want to do? Yeah. So, okay, let's take some calls. Good morning, caller on the air.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning, Chuck.
And good
Good
morning,
morning.
MX. How are you?
Good. If you people want to know what Iran looks like after what Trump did, take a ride down Kennedy Avenue, the last part that they're fixing. I need yeah, it's about the same thing. But, okay, Bob, I know I want my callers to call in about this Kennedy Avenue, what we were promised and what we didn't get. Bob, when were you born? 1982?
That's right. Wow, that's a really good memory. Yep.
Okay, Chuck, how about you? Because you change
81.
your dates all the
I'm
time.
older.
When were you born?
I was 81. I was born the same weekend as MTV.
So both of you
have lost relevance.
Both of you were jumping from one side to the other, if you know what I mean.
We don't. Explain.
Well, you know what? You'll figure it out. Now, in 1979, I was an apprentice Boilermaker when this came down. Jimmy Carter, which I do not blame, went in there with a mission. And what had happened was he used paper filters for the motors in the desert. Those motors locked up within seconds. Every dirt bike rider knew that you should have had good old Bal-Ray air foam filter oil and some good filters. So now it got left for Ronald Reagan. The Iran hostage situation.
Yeah, but that's a whole conspiracy unto itself. The idea of, did both sides of the presidential campaign reach out and make deals? Because weren't they released like hours after Reagan won the election? So there's
exactly, and that's what I'm getting to.
Okay,
but you're starting to act like Kuziak now.
Thank you.
So when Reagan got in there, they thought he was a madman. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, what has happened with Trump here, he has done something that maybe Putin will be scared of. But really, what really bothers me is Mervin talking about going in there and bad-mouthing Trump when Mervin supports men in women's sports. That's not a man. So Mervin, he's over there in the corner jumping on the curtains, the elephant in the room, Mervin, with an eye.
Well, look, the only reason, let's be honest, the only reason Congress is mad is because they didn't get a chance to buy oil futures on Friday. They weren't as smart. I bought oil futures.
Exactly.
Mine are up 10% this morning. Pelosi's just mad she didn't get a chance to buy oil futures. So, you know what? Forget Congress. I could care less what they know.
This station is rigged. I heard that ad about what Mervin thinks. Well, when Mervin says men shouldn't be in women's sports, then I'll believe him. But until then, that's just a rigged prompt. But when Mervin comes out and says men shouldn't be in women's sports, I might take him with a little credibility. But that's where I'm at on this. You know what? You can't play with these people forever.
But so here's the thing, MX. So this goes back to, you mentioned 79. You were around for all this. You've seen this back and forth. Like the Middle East is never. Here's the problem inherently. I'm gaining my digression and energy back. We had a problem because going back to World War II, there was this sort of amazing thing that happened where the Allies stormed the beaches at Normandy and made their way across Europe and marched to Berlin and take out Hitler, go home, kiss the girl in Times Square. And that was what we set up as to what war is, right? You land on the beach, you take out the enemy, you kill the guy in charge, you go home. Everybody wins. We have a parade. The problem is that no conflict since World War II has been that clean, right? Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, you name it. They have been messy wars. They've just been messy and quagmires. And the problem is that we have this idea of, even now, like Bob's got Fox News open, and Trump's talking about regime change and all these things. Like, it's not that clean. We spent 20 years in Afghanistan.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Chuck, when somebody rants death to America, which is Iran, and they have our soldiers and put them in a cage and light them on fire, that's an act of war.
I understand. I don't disagree with you about that. But the question is, are these? Do we want to commit to these quagmires? It's not going to be a 7-day war.
Chuck, didn't we just give money to the Iran nuclear deal?
Who did? Yeah, remind people who did.
Yeah, Obama, John Kerry.
So again,
hey, Joe, Joe Simo, did you see where I put that beard and that turban on Bisklowski? He was all for it. So we went through all them avenues, okay? We went to, we'll give you a big pallet of cash. We'll do everything we can. We had nuclear inspectors over there. And the second you ain't watching them and you turn your back on them, they chant death to America. They go after Israel. You have to do something. Trump was backed up against the wall.
I don't disagree.
But what I don't
disagree.
Don't like is people like Mervyn with an I coming in who supports men and women's sports, men and women's bathrooms, chiming out.
Okay.
That don't work, John.
I agree with you. Go ahead.
Now you got me mad, but a great show.
That's what my goal is here.
My buddy there, Bob.
What's up?
During this conflict, please don't go in an airport.
Okay.
I trimmed the beard because you had made the comment a couple weeks ago that I was looking suspicious.
Well, you saw that joke, like David Letterman better stay low for a while.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is that you see how he related going to war with who goes to what bathroom, because it became a political issue. And so this idea that the two parties won't come together on anything, they're also not going to come together on should we bomb people, should we be involved in regime change and things like that. But again, just, this idea that it's been going on for 50 years, that you're going to end this 50-year conflict with a few mops, a couple bombing runs, and it's over. I mean, that's the thing is, I just want to make sure that we as Americans are committed, because these always start off with, we're just going to drop a few bombs, then it's a police action, and then before you know it, it's boots on the ground, and then before you know it, it's boots on the ground for a generation. So I'm just saying, like, my worldview on this, my historical perspective on this is, are you committed to 20 years for a simple regime change? And then might that regime change fail after 7 days when we finally leave, like what happened in Afghanistan? That's all I'm asking. Like, are we prepared for this? And the question is, why can't we go more than 6 months without conflict? I mean, like, in my entire life, have we ever not been dropping bombs on somebody? Like, can we take 6 months off and rebuild some things before we blow some stuff up? I don't know. Like, it's just weird. But here's the other thing, and I'm going to digress a little bit more. If I'm Iran right now, I look at Gaddafi, I look at Saddam Hussein. I mean, to me, I think I need to have that having a nuclear bomb is basically the one thing that will keep me from ending up on the end of a rope, right? I mean, I understand why they're pushing so hard to have nukes, because basically once you're in that club, we kind of leave you alone, right? I mean,
at North Korea. North Korea. That's the reason why we're not,
Right. So, I mean, that's sort of the thing is, like, your goal is, if I can become part of that club, whether everybody else likes me or not, that gives me some longevity. That gives me, a seat at the table to not get regime changed by NATO, right? So, I mean, I can see why they're pushing so hard for this, because it kind of gives you a bargaining chip. We got some more calls, Joe, before we take our break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good news, bad news.
Uh-oh.
This is an item out of yesterday's Times, the Northwest Indiana Business Ins and Outs by Joseph Pete.
Joseph Pete, yep.
A taste of Eastern Europe and Highland. Multi-cook Ukrainian restaurant has brought a taste of Eastern Europe to Highland. The takeout restaurant opened at 2106 45th Street in Port Delu Plaza in Highland. It offers dine-in and also sells frozen food to take home and cook, founded by recent Ukrainian immigrants. It has pierogi, potato razi, dumplings, crepes, pork cutlets, meatballs, potato pancakes, stuffed peppers, cabbage rolls, soup. And the eatery hand makes chebureki. my Ukrainian is pretty rough. But in any case, I can recommend the Round the Clock in Cherville. I hope they get back on their feet real quick because it's a great place to eat, especially if you're a senior. But if you're looking for a place to eat something fresh, Taste of Europe in Highland. How about that?
Well, and I hope they have like hey, I can't pronounce anything on your menu. Just bring me a platter.
Bring me pictures.
No, I'm saying just bring me a platter. I don't know what it is. It sounds delicious. Just bring me a little bit of everything, and then I'll just point. Like, can bring me more of whatever that is.
Well, and I got to say, admittedly, so I sit here with the laptop. I'm just scrolling news, scrolling traffic, scrolling things. I spaced out as you were reading the list of food that they offered, and I went to this daydream world, and I thought that all sounded fantastic.
It does. It's one of those things, though. You just like – it all sounds good. Just bring me one of everything.
I was sad when you ended that list.
And since the owners and operators are recent immigrants from Ukraine, you're probably going to get the real deal, the good stuff.
That sounds fantastic.
Here's the bad news. Chicago Sun-Times yesterday. Court cases offer a look inside one of the most violent biker gangs in the country. The Sin City Disciples had thousands of members, including a Gary, Indiana police chaplain, prosecutor said. Indictments, let's see here. Sin City Disciples had thousands of members, including cops and Gary. And this paragraph says, during the investigation, political figures and law enforcement officials, including a Gary mayor, were spotted at the club's events. An ATF agent later testified the agent didn't name the mayor. Two mayors have held office in Gary during the course of the investigation. And here's a picture of the Sin City Disciples Clubhouse in Gary, Indiana. How about that?
Well, so again, bike gangs, nothing new. Biker gangs have been going on for a long time. So, is it one of those things where I don't know. I don't know how you deal with that. Is that just sort of one of those things you're never going to get rid of? Is that I don't know. I don't know how you manage that. But you guys were talking before I came in about Vietnam and stuff like that. And so, again, as somebody who's been there and seen all these things, this idea, do you agree with me, this idea that we're setting this up as just a couple bombing runs and we're in and we're out? History has taught us otherwise. I mean, this idea that a lot of these quagmires have started with a bombing run, a police action, and next thing you know, we're there for 10 or 20 years.
Well, Korea and Vietnam went on and on and on because of incompetent, corrupt, treasonous leadership at the very top provided by the Democrats.
And the good thing is that we don't have that anymore, right? So, I mean, that's kind of that's like, have things changed? That's the question is, I mean, remember Iraq? I remember in and out, 7 days. We conquered Iraq, and then it was kind of like, well, now what? And then 20 years later, right? I mean, that was sort of the thing. We did a great job of taking Iraq. We did it in 7 days. Everything's good. And then it was kind of like everybody just stood around and said, well, now what? We didn't plan on, now what? What's the rest of the plan? And that was the problem. We spent 20 years figuring out the rest of the plan.
That was a bipartisan war. Both Republican leadership and Democrat leadership supported it, including the national media. But there were people who knew what they were talking about. For example, the former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, he publicly and fervently said, "Stay out of Iraq. It's going to go on forever." The former commandant of the Marine Corps said the same thing. The Pope sent his foreign relations guy to Washington to talk to Bush Jr. and said, "Do not go into Iraq because you risk destabilizing the whole Middle East, and you will put the Christian community of Iraq in jeopardy because Saddam Hussein is protecting the Christian community, and you take him out, and it's the mostly Catholics are going to be in big trouble. Plus, who's going to counter Iran?
Right.
And then there was another person who recommended against invading Iraq, and that was Putin. Putin said the same thing to Bush Jr. They wanted a war. I was listening last night on one of the conservative shows, and they noted that many people think that the invasion of Iraq was over 9/11, and an insider of the Bush Jr. administration said, no way. When they got into office, Bush Jr. wanted to invade Iraq, and they were just looking for a pretext.
Hey, thank you, Walt. Hey, we do gotta take a break, but it is 7:00. You are listening to Summer of Chuck 2, the Electric Boogaloo on AM 1230, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. We will be back with another hour and a half of this on WJ. Go ahead.
I do want to say for our callers here, it looks like we will have a pretty good special guest in studio.
I was going to tease it on the way back, but we can do that now. Go ahead.
I just want these callers to be ready. Get your questions here.
I didn't want them to be, I wanted him to myself, but go ahead. You can tell them about it.
You can do that. It looks like we're going to have Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith in studio a little before 8:00, and he'll be with us until about 8:30.
Here's the thing: I didn't want Jim to know. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Because I told Jim there's not enough seats. There's only 2 chairs. There's only
not
one
enough seats.
So
he will storm in here shortly.
He will storm in here like he's storming the beaches of Iran, and he'll demand to have an interview.
Okay.
So no, if Jim's awake, no. There was a joke. It's not happening. But ha 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 ha. We'll be back with more Summer of Chuck 2 on WJOB.